Now, despite our proud seafaring traditions, Māori appear invisible on the yachting scene. But as our reporter Kane Peters discovered, there are two men who are keeping Māori at the forefront of the sport.
Māori have been masters of the seas for a millennia. And the recent royal tour saw a lone Māori sailor hoisting the dream for others to follow.
Yeah, I definitely feel proud about bringing back sailing to Māori culture, because since our ancestors sailed here from Hawaii, I think they sort of lost that ability, and I think it's good to relearn that.
Rawiri Geddes caught the sailing bug at a try to sail day in primary school.
Most of my mates were Māori, and that would sort of discourage me from doing the sport, but it didn't really bother me though. I still wanted to sail.
Like Rawiri, Māori sailing stars have shone in his family for generations.
I grew up in the bush, right in the bush, halfway between Napier and Taupo when I was a little boy.
Swapping the bush for the water was always in the wind.
And I always knew that sooner or later I'd be on the ocean.
As fate would have it, Tom was sent to the city of Sails as a teenager to look after his grandmother.
We used to live in Ponsonby, and every day I'd see these boats. Just a yearning to get down there and stand on one was the first thing. And an opportunity came up for me to go sailing. And then I guess I attracted the attention of the Australians.
He was hand-picked to race for Australia in the 1983 America's Cup. Did you mind being a Kiwi, a Māori, sailing for Australia?
No, I was quite proud actually.
The changing tides would see him return home to New Zealand.
And I got a phone call one day, and it was a guy named Ozzy Malcolm. He said, "We'd like to challenge for the America's Cup. You're the only guy we know who's done it. So would you come home and help us put it together?" That's how I started with Team New Zealand. I was the crew boss from day one. 15.
But Team New Zealand's first America's Cup campaign was a hard slog for the only Māori on board.
Yeah, there was a bit of racism. Yep, no question about it. And particularly from two guys. There's this thing called apathy. Well, it was beyond apathy what they were up to. They'd just make things difficult. They weren't actually on the crew, they were on the support boat. But they made my job pretty miserable.
Although Team New Zealand didn't bring home the America's Cup in '87, Tom headed off to the States to get a taste of bigger and brighter opportunities.
It's a hard road. The time spent away from your family, it's really a single-man sport. If you're doing the circuit, you need to be prepared to spend a lot of time away, and you need to train like you've never trained before.
17 years on, Tom had grown a family and felt it was time to plant himself back on home soil.
I came home to do other things really, and my mum was sick, but I ended up right in the middle and up to my neck in Māoridom, just taking care of our own portfolio for a start. And being the eldest son hasn't helped me too much. It's not a burden though, it's something we had to do, and sooner or later we had to put our hand up and do it, so I've done it.
And now he sits on numerous Māori land trusts.
We've actually got some trusts that do have a lot of money available for certain arenas. Now, to me, the two that we overlook is the education of our children and the respect and taking care of our elders. All those in the middle, sorry Kane, but you're one of those. You can adequately take care of yourselves, to me. But there's an opportunity there today for Māori to become involved in the sailing world. We're natural water babies.
Coming through the ranks is his nephew, Rawiri Geddes.
There's definitely a competitive edge before the race. You're thinking about who you want to beat. To me, being a Māori in the sport, it does separate you a little bit, but it's also sort of something special. You're unique.
His family are from Titeco, Texas, and they've asked me to be his campaign manager, and I was, honoured to do that. It would be just wonderful if we could get people like that together and mount a campaign that's supported by Māori.
Rawiri's now got his sights on the 2016 Olympics in Rio.
I just want to win and be the best.